Hey Ash, I saw you were having some issues with modeling a violin scroll. Um, I wanted to show you something with curves here. This might be like a good way to approach. Basically, I'm creating a curve here. I just use Alt A or Shift A to do that, and then I'm gonna come in here and start with moving this. I just click on E with this point selected, E, to extrude and move around, and basically I can scale down this point with S to the point where I'm building this scroll shape. Alright, and I'm gonna press on E again, and let's see, I have your reference here on the right, and just keep doing this spiral. And the cool thing about doing this with a curve is that now we can extrude it and have a lot of fine control with this. So, alright, let's say we do something in this fashion. Okay, now the next thing is going to be coming here to the mesh tab, and here on on the curve tab, and here I can click on geometry, and we can either extrude or do a little bit of an offset. I'm gonna move here to object mode, and notice how here when I move the extrude we get this very nice geometry. The offset lets you move offset from the curve, and the interesting thing is we can use also on the extrude. Alright, so we can do something like a profile, and I think that the way we want this to work, well, actually, let me do the following. So we have this extrude, and then we have this bevel right here, and this adds a little bit of depth. Now the interesting thing is using a profile, and notice how here you can draw stuff and you get a different shape on that, so you can really come and customize your scroll. And the cool thing is you can always come back to edit mode and switch this. Now where this really comes into place and shine is that you can select this here, and on the radius pretty much move and scale this so that you get this on the radius. Now whenever you edit this, I would recommend going to the top view so that you get you don't get any weird deformations. And the other thing that I would recommend would be, instead of having a 3D curve, having a 2D one. This just makes it so that whatever you draw is on this 2D plane, and that you can move it up and down. That's helpful for this type of shape, otherwise it starts to twist and get into weird stuff. Now what you can do is here really come in and tweak how this is behaving, and you can either scale this up and down. You can always use the field mode, the back, I think it would be both, and then somewhere there's some caps. Alright, so both, and there is I think there's something on the fill caps here, and that's gonna fill the top and the bottom cap of that, and let's see, and from there I would use this as the beginner tool to build that and really play around with the profile of this. Maybe you can get a nice taper on the edges, and keep adding points here to define your shape. And then it would be a matter of adding the centerpiece for that curve, and really play around with this radius so that you can, let's see, here with the radius, scale up and down and get some nice tapers and shapes. I think that's gonna be interesting. because at the end of the day you can always, you know, move this and fix the scale on that. I find that to be really interesting. So yeah, it might be, it's a different approach on figuring out. And after you're done with that, you can always come in here to object, and under convert to, you can do mesh, and notice how this has fairly clean edge flow. I usually duplicate that object so that I have a clean version. So we stay one with the Bezier, and then I duplicate it. And once you get the overall shape, then it'll be easier to just come in here and fix the cap. And then what I do is convert this one, object, convert to mesh. This is the one that I convert, and sculpt and do further things with these. So you know, you can come in here and either sculpt this and get something of this fashion. I usually, when I do that, since inevitably you're gonna end up with some less than ideal geometry here on the caps, I either, well, don't add caps, which sounds weird, but what I do is that in here I disable the fill caps, and then I convert to mesh, and that way you can come in here on edit mode and select these edge loops and scale them down, right? And all this does for you, and you can even enable like this deform so that it only scales down that. So really all this does is that it gives you clean geometry so that when you move here and sculpt, you have that, you know, that little bit of geometry that tapers in there. Then the other thing that I end up doing for these symmetrical objects is in here adding an edge loop and just deleting the bottom half. Let's do the same thing here, add an edge loop. The shortcut for that is Alt R. Let's see. I forgot the shortcut. Control R. A little bit of muscle memory there. Faces. And then with L, I can select the entire bottom and delete it. And the only reason why I delete this is so that from the front view, we get really clean mesh. I'm switching. See. Right. So I can do this type of thing, and then I can add a mirror modifier on the Z-axis, and then we get some nice mirror shape. That way I can come in here and really sculpt whatever it is that I need, and I know that it's going to be the same on the other side. That is a good technique for you know, making sure that you're focusing on the artistic side instead of having to deal with how that moves. So yeah, I guess planning ahead on this shape and then going from there would be my tip for you. And then remember that objects are made of different materials and shapes. So even if you end up, for example, doing this for the, so let's say that you did this for the violin neck. One thing you can do is after you build that, I would add another for the fingerboard of the violin. Just add a different object for the fingerboard so that you can assign a different object and start modeling how that connects to let's see how that connects to the violin. It's going to help you out because then you're thinking about, oh, this has different properties and different shapes. Geometry. So you start to move that around. Of course, it's it's not quite how it goes, but I think you get the point. I know you have the knobs here. All right, I hope that's helpful.